So, hello, welcome back to another episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. Today we're watching another video. Yes, and it is hopefully also going to be available for quite some time on the podcast before I get fucked in the ass. It's Tim Ferriss, and the Q&A. I do really enjoy, really heavily enjoy his Q&As because it gives him and also, well, us the opportunity to, know what is going on in his head, what he's thinking about, what he finds important, what his insights are. I mean, having so many interviews with so many interesting people, don't want to necessarily say successful because, what is success? Define success for me. But very interesting and also very useful and definitely also very precious, this content. I mean, it is 2 hours. It is not nothing. It is really quite something. And also when you are able to get your question answered, I mean, many big brands have paid him for his advisory. So it really is worth something. Definitely nothing to overlook there. I think that I am gonna start with coffee versus tea. I have myself gone through a bit of it already, but not fully, definitely not fully, but we're just gonna see. I do also dearly hope that the audio is not gonna be really loud now. It is called Q&A with Tim, PR and Marketing Lessons, Time Dilation, Selling to the Affluent, and much more. So this is my source by Tim Ferriss, uploaded on October 12th, 2022.
Tea over coffee these days from Ryan. My rule is I get one coffee in the morning these days. Coffee really keeps me up late at night, more so than it should, given the caffeine content. I can have an equivalent amount of caffeine through other sources, whether it's even energy drinks or iced tea, and it will not keep me up in the way that coffee does. So as it stands right now, I'm having one cold brew from Starbucks in the morning before 10 a.m. That's a rule. And then after that, it's iced tea. Am I cold? I'm being asked. Beanie and hoodie. Yeah, it's fucking freezing where I am. So yeah, I'm cold. And I'm bald. So hence the beanie. All right, let's keep going. From Jeff, Steve Vai would be an awesome interview. Vai's unbelievable and spiritual. I believe it. I've seen him interviewed. He's excellent. So maybe that'll happen at some point. Justin asks, any comments or observations on limiting alcohol intake? I have been limiting alcohol intake quite a bit. I actually have had my first drinks in a month, beginning 3 or 4 days ago. So in prep for the higher altitude and extensive hiking and so on, I did not want to compromise my sleep getting ready for that. And
I think he is about to hike in, might actually be Mexico. I don't know. It's just really high altitude, and really high altitude means not that much oxygen. And apparently there is some device that he has used to train himself and, basically train his lungs to function rather well, and or at least better for those high altitudes. There was a question on that. Biggest takeaway from my own work. But anyway, so just the context here.
I thought it would be a good ascetic practice / proof of non-dependence to take a 30-day break from alcohol. So I took a 30-day break from alcohol. Felt great. And I know that alcohol, especially once it gets past 2 drinks, obliterates sleep. So I have experimented with other options. Number one is simply not having alcohol, just having peppermint tea or whatever I might want to have for flavor at a dinner, which is perfectly fine most of the time. I'm also looking at other options. There are some ketone beverages, which are non-ethanol based alcoholic beverages, if that makes any sense. where you can actually get a buzz from, say, I think it's R-butanediol or R13-butanediol. Let me just see what... yeah, so 1,3-butanediol, also known as R13-butanediol, is not great in my experience for performance at all, but it can give you a slight buzz. And please do not, this is not food consumption advice. 1,3-butanediol is used mainly as a solvent for food flavors. So FYI, right? So there are a number of brands that sell R-butane 1,3-diol. I'm mixing up all of my chemistry here. So there are some brands that sell hard ketone drinks, and I have been experimenting with those as an alternative to...
I don't know if it is scripted, so the CC, the captions, but the caption says keto drink, not ketone, so keto as ketogenic diet. But something that is really interesting, I think, is that the state that one is in when being drunk is apparently still something to look for, even though you're basically having everything, you know? I mean, he's having enough money, he's having enough success, doesn't necessarily make him, I guess, the most happy person there is. I certainly think that he is, and hopefully he is quite happy at the time, but I would say that it is quite interesting to see that it is still something to, maybe to seek and or to have in mind, to enjoy, to like.
Ethanol,
which just totally makes sense, by the way. But anyway,
all-based drinks, right? Like a gin tonic or something like that. It does seem like the hard ketone drinks, if consumed close to bedtime, will still negatively affect sleep. So if I consume alcohol, I try to do, whether it's the hard ketones or ethanol, I try to consume it on the early side. So if I'm having an early dinner, say 5:30 or 6, I want to give my body and my liver time to metabolize as much as possible before I lay down to bed. And that means I'll go out to dinner, and if I'm going to have a drink, as I did yesterday, for instance, actually I had 2 glasses of wine last night, and I sat at the bar instead of at a table so I wouldn't be rushed, and I had 2 drinks while writing for about 30 minutes before getting my food, because what I didn't want to do is have 1 drink with an appetizer, eat a huge entree, and have 2 or 3 more drinks just to feel the buzz, and ultimately all of that lands on my system and needs to be dealt with. So those are a few of the thoughts I have, but I have dramatically cut back on my alcohol consumption, and that might change. I mean, depending on where I go. If I'm going to Italy and I'm going to be eating pasta and drinking wine everywhere, then I'm going to drink wine everywhere. It's not a big deal to me. But as it stands right now, I have cut back very substantially.
He also pointed out, might have been a Q&A, might have just, been kind of in a regular episode, that his advice for his 20-year-old self would be not to drink that much. So, might say something, but I think it is also totally fine. I would certainly say that you do you, and if there is somebody, some person that and you kind of feel like, well, this person shouldn't drink that much, whether it is a mom or dad or a friend or whatever, at some point it is you do you, and of course, unless somebody else gets hurt or you clearly see that there is some damage being taken, but yeah, period.
All right. Stephanie suggests visiting Shaved Ice Island in South Austin. Life-changing Thai tea, shaved ice on the menu. I'm into it. I will check it out. All right. Cherie, I think is the name here. I hope I'm getting that down properly. With your various endeavors into hobbies, have you ever tried archery? And if so, any directions as to books, teachers, etc. to check out, specifically looking at traditional longbow? Yes, I have looked quite closely at archery, and I've been spending the last several months going deep down quite a few rabbit holes related to archery. I have 5 or 6 bows, no more, 7, 8, probably 8 bows within 500 feet of where I'm sitting. So yes, I've been getting into it. That includes a traditional longbow made by someone named Byron Ferguson, who has a lot of incredible video online. And I believe Byron has a book called Become the Arrow. Let me see. Yeah, Become the Arrow.
I do also remember some book, it might have been just a non-fiction book, as far as I remember, that was, yes, or it was by James Clear, something like that, that used archery as a really great analogy for what the book was trying to say and was trying to get across, which actually might be a very good example of fictional books being quite good as non-fiction, if this makes sense, to show the reader something. I might actually be able to find that. Archery analogy. Analytics. Yes, definitely. Or analogy. Well, a common analogy in an archer shooting arrows at the target. If the archer shoots 3 arrows in a tight group, his shooting would be considered precise. The accuracy of the archer would be determined by the location of the group of arrows. From vanderbilt.edu. Stoicism and the Art of Archery by John Sellers. From the modernstoicism.com site. So it might just be what I've been searching for. It might also just not be what I've been searching for. Maybe let's actually see. Take the case of one whose task is to shoot a spear or arrow straight at some target. One's ultimate aim is to do all in one's power to shoot straight, and the same applies with our ultimate goal. In this kind of example, it is to shoot straight, that one must do all one can. Nonetheless, it is to do all one can to accomplish the task that is really the ultimate aim. It is just the same with what we call the supreme good in life, to actually hit the target, as we say, to be selected but not sought. But this was not necessarily what I've been searching for. James Clear. I don't know why I have this feeling that it was something that he pointed out. The Art of Attention and Focus from a Samurai Archer. This really sounds like what I've been searching for. And it was one of those articles that I really, really deeply enjoyed because of one particular line. Great archery masters often teach that everything is aiming, where you place your feet, how you hold the bow, the way you breathe during the release of the arrow. It all determines the end result. The enemy of improvement. The art of senshin in everyday life. There it is. We live in a world obsessed with results. Like Harigel or whatever, we have a tendency to put so much emphasis on whether or not the arrow hits the target. If, however, we put that intensity and focus and sincerity into the process where we place our feet, how we hold the bow, how we breathe during the release of the arrow, then hitting the bullseye is simply a side effect. The point is not to worry about hitting the target. The point is to fall in love with the boredom of doing the work and embrace each piece of the process. The point is to take the moment of senshin, that moment of complete awareness and focus, and carry it with you every day in life. The enemy of improvement is neither failure nor success. The enemy of improvement is boredom, fatigue, and lack of concentration. The enemy of improvement is a lack of commitment to the process, because the process is everything. And yeah, that being said, I'm probably going to end the episode here. Wish you the best and see you soon. So bye-bye.